Are you curious how much money new sellers are actually making on Amazon KDP with low content books? Maybe you're starting to hear about Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing or Amazon KDP and wondering if it's too late to get started and whether real people are making money with no to low content books. If so, you're in the right place. From the number of books I published to how much I earned off each book and even my total income, I'm going to give you a comprehensive overview of my successes and failures so that you can have a realistic and unbiased view of selling books on Amazon. So if you're interested in hearing my first month income report, keep watching. But first, hit that subscribe button to make sure that you catch all of my future income reports and all of the tips and tricks I share along the way. My first book ever published on Amazon KDP was on Halloween 2022, so October 31st. At that point, I had just heard so much about KDP and I was so interested and I was so curious to understand how it worked that I decided to go ahead and stop thinking about it and just try it out. Now, I say my first full month publishing because once you hit publish, your book doesn't automatically go live, and I'll have other videos on what it looks like to truly get set up and what that process looks like. But just know that when you hit publish, it doesn't mean your book goes straight to the Amazon storefront. It obviously has to go through a review process and be approved by Amazon before it can go live and be purchased. So that said, it means November was my first full month on Amazon KDP. Now, I had no expectations going in. I had not done much prior research other than to know and low content books were, and just to understand the formatting guidelines and get something publishable onto the platform. So it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that when we peek behind the curtain to see how my sales did in November and ultimately how long it took me to sell my first book, you'll see that it took me until November 28th to make my first sale on Amazon KDP. And again, that is with a book that I pressed publish on October 31st. It did take a few days for review, so it probably went live around the 3rd or 4th of November. But that means it still took about 4 weeks for me to get one book sold. Ultimately, that one book sold on the 28th. I made one more sale on the 30th, and I only sold 2 books in the month of November. But because I went in with no expectations whatsoever, this was actually really exciting for me. I have to say, I did not tell friends or family that I was trying this out at all. So I know these books sold to completely random customers that truly did a search and find to pick out my product on the Amazon storefront and to purchase them. So that did give me a lot of hope and a lot of excitement. I will say that I was checking this every single day for those 4 weeks. So at first I was getting discouraged. I didn't know whether I would make any sales at all. I didn't know whether I had done something wrong or the market was too saturated. But in this particular instance, it just took me a little bit longer to be found. I've definitely seen sellers say that they sold their first book within 1 week of publishing, even a couple sellers who said it only took a few days. And every case is going to be completely different, especially if you already have some loyal followers or you have marketing spend to advertise, or even if you post on your own social media channels, because I didn't do any of that when I got started. I just wanted to kind of have a pure experiment to see how this went at the simplest level. So up top, you of course see that I had 2 units ordered, and you'll see that it says all 112 books. Now, I did not have that many books in the month of November, but the way that the platform reads, it shows you how many books were ordered, and it uses your current total of books. So for example, I pulled this screenshot in January 2023, and by January, I had published 112 books. So it was showing me that out of all the books I have now, only 2 units were ordered back then. And they do that because you can also narrow down your top 10 books and then do a look back and see how many of my top 10 books were selling in November, December, January, and compare over time. So that said, when you press all books, it updates to the current number of books you have. Now, I kept a detailed record because I was super curious about this journey and I knew I'd want to share it with others, whether it's a success or a failure. I know a lot of people are looking to know whether new sellers in 2023, especially those of us with no previous history who did not get in on the ground floor of Amazon low content publishing, whether there's really a true opportunity here or not. So, because of that, I kept track of how many books I published, and in the month of November, I had published 44 books. So that did happen throughout the month. Obviously, I didn't publish them all at a time. And by the end of the month, that was the number that I had published and approved and live on Amazon, which most likely means a lot of them weren't quite yet seen by customers. But at the same time, going back to having 2 books sold and doing absolutely no marketing, no research, and not even telling anybody I knew that I was trying this out felt like an exciting win. Throughout this month, I was also testing different niches of books and spending a lot of time doing research to try to understand what types of books independent publishers were making, selling, and finding success with. So what did 2 books look like in terms of income? So here you can see what those 2 books generated in terms of approximate royalties. And ultimately, those books generated $4.53. It's not a huge amount of money. It's not going to pay your bills just yet, but it shows that you can still make organic sales with Amazon KDP with no previous history and without having to spend money on ads. And this is only month 1, so if you can do that and continue to build, you've got to think that there's a lot of potential. What is great is that this approximate royalties, $4.53, is truly what goes into my pocket. This is not a revenue number. So this $4.53 has already accounted for my cost of printing, and it's already accounted for the share of the percentage of royalties that Amazon will take for itself. So this really is the number that goes down to essentially my bottom line, because I have no other costs in publishing these books when I am the one making, designing, and posting them myself. This means on average, each of those books netted me about $2.25, really rounding up to $2.27 a piece, which is right around what I was aiming for when I initially set up the books. In terms of the types of books that sold, again, 2 books isn't a lot to analyze and gain much of a track record from, but in terms of seasonal books sold, only one of them was a seasonal book for the upcoming Christmas season, and the other was evergreen or year-round content. It was a book that I would imagine would make a good gift, but had nothing to do with the upcoming holidays and could conceivably sell month over month. So some of my initial takeaways that I want to share with you if you are thinking about starting an Amazon KDP venture are these. Start with doing some background research into niches and seeing what sells and figuring out how you can get your books into one of those niches, what the market is missing right now, but that customers might still truly want, and what you would be passionate and excited about making. Because there is a lot of time and effort that goes into creation behind the scenes, and if you're not dedicated, it's just going to fall flat right off the bat. Another takeaway is that your first organic sale can definitely vary greatly in amount of time it takes. For me, it was 4 weeks, but for others, it's been a lot faster, and then still others, it's slower. It will depend on how many books you publish, how specific they are, how targeted they are, and what quality they are. Don't get disheartened if it's taking a while, but definitely don't feel obligated to jump in and spend money on advertising, because you want to make sure that you are spending money on books that customers want. You want to make sure that once customers see your book, it actually converts to a sale. Otherwise, you'll be wasting ad money up front. So again, I spent no money on ads. I didn't even post any of my books on social media that would have encouraged people that knew me to buy my new products. Also, remember that Amazon says it can take 3 to 5 days to review your book and publish it so that it's live on their site. And in my experience, I had a few books that took even longer than that, and several books that Amazon kept punting back to me that I couldn't figure out what they were upset about, and it was a little more tedious to get them to accept the book and go live. So if you are planning ahead for a holiday season, make sure you give yourself more than enough time and don't assume that the book is going to go live immediately, especially if you want to take advantage of something like an upcoming holiday season. Finally, don't jump to any conclusions. So just like any legitimate way to make money, it's not going to be an overnight six-figure success story. But so far, it is possible. Now, when we say possible, all I've proven in my first month is that you can make an organic sale with a no or low content book within your first month publishing on Amazon KDP. Now, what this number increases to along the way and how long it takes to get there, only time will tell. But if you're curious about whether Amazon KDP is still worth it and is a legitimate way for brand new sellers to make money, I'd have to say that my takeaway is yes. So that's it for my November first month Amazon KDP report. Hopefully next month I will have some more sales that will encourage you and that will let me get a little bit deeper into an analysis throughout the month. So make sure you hit subscribe so that you can see how this journey goes and how I do in December.